Prep Test 68, Game 4, Question 18 asks us, if y is fourth, which of the following must be true? So we have our rules and inferences up here, and we're going to pull up some master diagrams with all of the limitations we've already built in the setup video. And if you don't know where these limitations came from, I would recommend watching the setup video or hitting pause right now and trying to work this out on your own, and then hitting play when you're ready to continue. So in our first one, we're going to place y fourth. And then we're going to take a look at what we have left. What we have left are the variables g, h, and j from one group, and the variables q, r, and s from another group. And we know from this rule that no two from either of those groups can be in a row. Therefore, we're going to try out the possibility that these three are made up of two from the first group and one from the second group. Since we have this rule telling us that j needs to come before g, why don't we just start with j, g, and then we can pick anything we'd like for this other one. It could be q, r, or s, but we don't want to pick r because that has to come after g. If we pick s, it triggers this rule and it'll be impossible to stick to that rule because the third spot's already filled up. So why don't we go with q. So j, q, g, y. What do we have left? We need to get an h in there somewhere. We need to get an r in there somewhere. And we have to get a s in somewhere. But as soon as we place the s in, you'll notice we're breaking this rule. And even if we backed up a little bit, there was no way to get s in there before y. So what we're finding out here is that no matter how we arrange these three letters, we're going to be stuck with s behind y. And that's not okay. So what we've discovered is that the correct arrangement needs to have two from the QRS group and one from the GHJ group. So let's go ahead and pull up another master diagram and try to make it work that way. So again, we place y in space 4. And to avoid this rule, we might as well just start off with q first and s second. We can place any of our three, g, h, and j, here in the front. Might as well start with g. And then let's say we have, sorry, I said j, g, I meant j. We'll put g in right here. We'll plug r in at the back, and that leaves h to go right here, which is not okay. So let's just quickly switch these two around. Let's say that r goes here, and h goes right there. So the question's asking which must be true. Let's see if we can eliminate any using the arrangement that we've set up thus far. J is second. So far, that must be true. J is third. Definitely not. Q is first. So far, that looks good. Q is third. Definitely not. R is seventh. Definitely not. So let's figure out which of these two, A or C, can be rearranged. Well, right off the bat, I'm reminded of this rule right here that says that S can only be before Q when Q is third. So what if we just flip-flopped these letters and placed S here and Q there? Thus, Q is no longer first, and A must be the correct answer. Now at this point, I'm going to erase this first option, and I want to explore in a little bit more detail why J has to be second. I don't know why I erased this. Sorry about that. So if we placed, say, S and Q here again, we place Y back in the fourth spot, and we put anything other than J in the second spot. Let's try H there, since that doesn't play into this rule right here. So what if we put H here? What we have left are J, G, and R, and we know the option they have to go in. And you'll notice that as soon as we try to write them in that option, we get stuck with J and G right next to each other. So as soon as you move J out of the second spot, it forces two of these guys to be next to each other later in the game. And that's why we cannot have J outside of the second spot when Y is in space 4.